2025 NFL team previews. Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions continue to outperform expectations set on them by the sports books with both season win totals and game to game against the spread. 15 wins last year was a franchise record, but more importantly, and the only thing that really matters to me, is their against the spread record. Since Dan Campbell took over as head coach, the Lions have continued to print money for anyone that bets on them. Third straight season, they finished better than a 70% win rate against the spread. If Dan Campbell keeps this up, he's going to end up being the most profitable head coach of all time. He's by far the most profitable head coach since 2021 by a large margin. The Lions won 15 games against a top 10 toughest schedule of opponents last year, too. But I have them facing the overall toughest strength of schedule in the NFL this year. I have the average rating of all opponents 1.4 points better than league average. The schedule is filled with quality opponents week after week. Lions do have several games where they have like a rest advantage, but it's not enough to make up for the strength of opponent. And it's their road schedule that makes it so tough. The average rating of just the road teams is over a field goal better than league average. It's by far the toughest schedule of road games any team has to face. Listen to these teams here: Green Bay, Minnesota, Baltimore, Cincy, Philly, Washington, KC, the Rams, and Bears. 8 of those 9 opponents are favored to make the playoffs. 7 of those 9 opponents made the playoffs last year, and the 2 teams that didn't, on the road to face Joe Burrow and the Bengals. And the other one, a division rivalry game against their former offensive coach and the Bears in Soldier Field in January. Lions better hope they're in a position to sit starters in that game, or they're going to freeze their ass off. The Browns and Giants are the only 2 opponents on their entire schedule I have rated outside the top 20. What made the Lions so good last year was how elite they were on both sides of the ball when it came to high leverage, game changing plays like these 3rd and 4th downs. They were the league's 2nd best defense and 5th best offense in that situation. They were 4th in red zone scoring and number 1 in red zone defense. Which is crazy that defense finished with such elite numbers while being like riddled with injury after injury to key players. It all finally caught up to them in the home loss that ended their season in the divisional round of the playoffs to Jaden Daniels and the Commanders. Lions defense allowed almost 500 yards in that game, although the offense was really no help either. They committed 5 turnovers. No team had more defensive holding penalties called on them than Detroit. And these are penalties that result in automatic first downs. Rookie cornerback Teron Arnold was the biggest offender. He was assessed the most penalty yardage of any single player in the league. Aaron Glenn, defensive coordinator, was a physical defensive back in his playing days, and no better example how a team takes on their coach's personality. Glenn is now the head coach of the Jets, so keep an eye on their secondary. They could end up being the most penalized this year. And speaking of Aaron Glenn, the biggest offseason changes for the Lions aren't with player personnel, but rather the coaching staff. Both offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator are both gone now. And typically changes at the coordinator spot, they're often overlooked and underestimated on how they'll impact teams. But in this case, with it being Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn being replaced by John Morton and Kelvin Shepard, it's safe to say it's going to be a downgrade. New defensive coordinator Kelvin Shepard was playing in the league in 2018. His only experience as a coach in the NFL is like a linebacker coach, I believe. So it's a big step up for him. And, to be honest, I think the championship window of opportunity is like now or maybe never for Detroit. They're going to be faced with huge salary cap questions next season. They're bottom 10 in spending this year, but that's going to change next year with a lot of big contracts coming up. Goff, St. Brown, a couple other guys, Penny Sewell. And outside of injuries, the Lions had some really good fumble luck. Not only did they fumble at the 3rd lowest rate in the league, but they recovered fumbles at the 4th highest rate. They lost only 3 fumbles all season, 2nd fewest in the league. And I talk about fumble luck a lot because it is so random. Fumbles definitely have some human element involved in how defenders tackle and punch at the ball, or how ball carriers secure the ball. But when a ball hits the ground, it's pretty much random, and whoever's closest or where the ball bounces is random as it gets. So when a team recovers fumbles at like a ridiculous high rate, they're considered fortunate, and then it's more likely that their good luck will even out. The same way a team who had a low recovery rates will more likely improve those numbers over time and start getting more recoveries. And turnovers are just, the biggest factor that correlates the most to not just winning, but covering games. Teams who win the turnover battle in a game win that game close to 80% of the time. And, check out box scores at the end of games. You'll almost never find a team that lost a turnover battle and then covered the spread. And if you do, find one. They probably did something else crazy in the game, like returning kickoffs or some shit. Um, but I've been back and forth with this Lions team. I've never really liked Jared Goff, and this is going to be the first time he hasn't had like a top echelon play caller in his ear guiding him through games, and I think it's going to show. There's some changes on the offensive line. Frank Ragnew's gone, and of course the tough strength of schedule. It kind of does make me think under. But they won 15 games last year, so winning four less this year still puts them over their win total. And I don't think Detroit wins the division. The team that I'm doing a preview on next is who I have winning this division. And but I do worry fading Detroit is like too obvious. They still have crazy talent, so for now it's nothing on them. And that's gonna do it for this one. That does it for the letter D. Next up, we're on to the G's and the Packers. Be on the lookout for that one. Until next time, good luck with your bets.